Ladies and gentlemen, a warm good morning to you all from Bharat, the land of Ayurveda. Today, November 2nd, 2021, we are celebrating the 6th World Ayurveda Day with the theme Ayurveda for Portion or Ayurveda for Sound Nutrition. Before I start the topic, I would like to recite a prayer that's a universal prayer gifted by our sages. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Which means, may all be gifted with happiness, may all be granted with good health, and may all suffering be alleviated, and may all stay free of grief. With the outbreak of the global pandemic since January 2020, we witnessed agony, pain, and suffering around us. Normal day-to-day life got disrupted. Healthcare systems became inadequate, and life was devastated globally. We haven't emerged out of the crisis yet. Ayurveda as a system of medicine is in practice for more than 5,000 years in the Indian subcontinent. In this century, modern science made a huge leap in genetic engineering, biotechnology, artificial intelligence, and so on. Invention of scanning machines had literally changed the history of medical science. In an era of advanced technology and sophisticated medical facilities, Ayurveda still fascinates the world with its unique treatment principles which are time-tested and proven for generations. Before I move on to nutrition, I would like to describe a few terms of Ayurveda which we need to know while trying to understand the dietary principles of the system. As we can see in the logo of World Ayurveda Day, there are 5 leaves around the silhouette of Lord Dhanvantari, the Lord of Medicine, who grants us the virtue of health. Those 5 leaves represent the 5 basic elements or Panch Mahabhutas, and the 3 small dots below represent Vata, Pitta and Kapha, all encircled in a green oval with a leaf representing nature. Panchabhutas are Paramanus, or the smallest particles that are indivisible. They are subtle or invisible. Those are air, fire, water, earth and space, with this difference in proportion manifesting as living and non-living beings. Both the macrocosm and microcosm is understood on the basis of Panch Mahabhuta theory. Every one of us essentially have the same kind of cells and organs, despite huge variations from one personality to another. Each and every individual have a unique constitution or Prakriti type based on proportionate difference of 3 doshas manifested at the time of birth. Let me explain about the 3 doshas or the 3 primal forces of existence. These 3 are the basic forces in existence. They are the principle of energy that set everything into motion, which is called Vata, the subtle moving force that guides vibration of cells that control neurological, circulatory, respiratory and excretory systems. The second force is Pitta, the principle of heat or radiance that guide all metabolic activities of our system. All enzymatic, hormonal and biochemical functions are operated under the influence of this. Agni or digestive fire of an individual that helps in digestion, absorption and assimilation is a manifested form of Pitta dosha. So the digestive functions of an individual depend on the power of Agni. The third force of existence is Kapha, or the principle of cohesion, or that which binds all cells of a being together. These 3 forces are the cause of cell formation, cell preservation as well as cellular destruction. We all know that we are all born as a single cell, and this particular cell had its own innate intelligence to multiply and become who we are now. Under the influence of these 3 mighty forces of existence, the Panchbhuta elements in our cell, with the help of nutrition through our mother's womb, develop into our body. These forces of existence are also called doshas, since their imbalance can be the cause of diseases. When 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta and Kapha are in equilibrium, we stay healthy. Basic body type of ours with which we are born never changes. But since doshas are dynamic forces and since they are in constant flux, some aggravation and depletion happen due to environmental changes, seasons, food ingestion, or with stress and emotions. And I shall explain more about the three basic constitutional types and their diet towards the end of the gestation. The gestational life of every human matters a lot to the general well-being of an individual. The portion or nutrition of an expectant mother is a determinant of an individual's health in general. There is an impulse in all of us to grow and progress. From the moment of conception, cell multiplication starts because of this flow of intelligence in us. Food, air, and water are three important things that sustain life. We need food for nourishment, strength, immunity, and longevity. Wholesome food is responsible for good health, while synthetic, processed, and packaged foods deplete our energy and wreak havoc in the system. According to Ayurveda, the quality of food we eat, the time of meals, the portion of meal, combination of food, digestive power of an individual are all important in sound nutrition. Just like the best quality gasoline providing the automobile engine along a life, the quality of food and nutrition determines life expectancy of an individual. According to the digestive fire, there are 4 categories of people. A person with a normal digestive fire have normal appetite, gets easily satisfied by normal portions, and he do not experience episodes of bloating or colic or constipation in general. Variable or Vishamakni people might have alternate episodes of strong appetite and low appetite, either quick digestion or slow digestion. They should follow Vata pacifying diets. Those who have a very low appetite, sluggish metabolism, and feel lethargic have low digestive fire and they need to follow a Kapha pacifying diet. And the 4th category is those who have extreme appetite, very quick digestion, and who feels hungry most of the time and feel burning sensations of the stomach without food. They are Tikshnagni people who should follow Pitta pacifying diet. Regarding the timing of meals, usually we are supposed to eat 3 meals a day. Out of which lunch is supposed to be the big meal of the day, and breakfast, basically we should have some natural wholesome foods, and dinner is supposed to be the lightest meal and preferably before 7:30 p.m. Late night dinner and parties are a major cause of lifestyle disorders. Digestion of food commences from the mouth. When food is well chewed, it gets thoroughly mixed with saliva, and this is very important for digestion. Also, we should pay attention to Anubana, that's having fluids along with the solid food. Food needs to be well disintegrated and moistened before reaching stomach, where it gets mixed with various enzymes and hydrochloric acid. A big glass of water immediately before food could slow down the digestive fire. And also drinking ice cold water can hamper the action of Agni. So it's always advisable to drink water of room temperature or moderately warm, and it aids digestion. Combination of food is a major topic that we should discuss, since wrong food combinations or viruddhahara result in food interactions and related toxicities. Foods that are heavy or improperly cooked or of contrasting qualities can cause inflammation of tissues, interrupt tissue metabolism, and inhibit proper formation of tissues, and can be a major cause for systemic diseases. This can even lead to autoimmune triggers. A big list of viruddhahara combinations are mentioned in Ayurveda. For example, having fruits along with starchy meat would make it fermented and delay digestion. When bananas are mixed with milk, or when yogurt is mixed with milk, it could cause toxicities in the gut. And having milk with sour fruits can trigger an asthma attack. Having fish and yogurt together can derange the pitta dosha and be a causative factor for connective tissue diseases and even skin diseases. Legumes are supposed to be soaked overnight before cooking to improve its metabolism. Increased intake of garlic can cause microbleeds. Reheating of oils create more free radicals. Polyunsaturated oils are more susceptible for lipid peroxidation. Viruddhahara can cause prolonged accumulation of toxins or ama in the gut. Free radicals and toxins attack cell membranes or create a chain of cytotoxic reactions in the long run. They can clog membranes and impair functioning of mitochondria and even promote cancer cells. The concept of viruddhahara need to be really emphasized in a customized Ayurveda diet. Now I would like to explain about portion of food. Mitahara, that means in Mitahara one refrain from heavy eating or too little food and this is the preferred choice. Solid portion of the food in a meal should be 2/4 of your stomach, while with liquid is 1/4, and a quarter should be left for proper peristaltic movement. And we should pay attention to eat seasonal fruits and vegetables which are locally grown. And it's nature's choice to have rice as staple food in Kerala, where I live. And we need to have rice with more moisture because of our proximity with the equator. Chances to get dehydrated more. When we move to the northern parts of India, we see wheat which has less moisture as a staple food. So we should pay attention to choosing our staple food in a traditional way which we are used to for generations. Seasonal dietary regimen or Ridhucharya is also very important. We are an integral part of the nature. So we get affected with everything around us. Body gets adapted naturally with the rhythm of seasons. So food choices also differ according to seasons. A warm chicken soup, which is ideal for winter, may not be a good choice of food for summer. Winter is a season of lethargy with a predominance of Kapha dosha. Having warm, hot beverages, food cooked with warm spices like pepper, garlic, etc., steamed and cooked vegetables, legumes and meat are all good options for sustained energy, and avoid chilled and cold foods during this time. Ghee is a good choice of food for winter. All kind of nuts roasted are good. Dry fruits like dates, raisins, figs are all good choices. Golden milk, a blend of coconut milk with turmeric, ginger and honey, is a real immune booster for the system. And during summer, Vata dosha gets accumulated in the intestines, and due to the scorching sun, Pitta dosha also gets deranged. So when we have both fire and elements together, it can intensely degrade cellular metabolism if the dosha visheshana is not taken care of. So this is a season where we can have plenty of fruits and vegetables. Do not use too much spicy food during the season, or salty or sour or warm food. Seasonal cleansing of accumulated doshas through Shodhana procedures are also given great importance in Ayurveda. Panchakarma, the 5 type of cleansing procedures, had gained worldwide popularity recently. Cleansing processes like purgation, medicated enema, nasya, vamana, all can alleviate dosha accumulation and associated toxicities of our system. Fasting is an important therapeutic approach. Often it's a good step towards detoxification. Vegetable juice fast combined with intake of herbs like trichardon, panchkola or fennel or cardamom can all aid digestion. And now we shall discuss about the types of meat and its nutritional benefits. Mutton is homologous with the dhadus of our body, so that it does not obstruct the bodily channels and it's nourishing. Chicken is an aphrodisiac and is nourishing, but it could sometimes derange Pitta dosha, so not recommended for daily use. Beef is beneficial for exclusive digestion of Vata, rhinitis, irregular fever, dry cough, fatigue, and wasting of muscles. It's recommended for Vata people. Fish is strength promoting, nourishing, and aphrodisiac. Fish could cause skin diseases, so it's not recommended for daily use. Lamb is a tonic which improves our intellect, digestion, and it acts as a laxative also. So there are certain foods that Ayurveda does not recommend for a daily intake. There's a detailed list of food materials that should or should not be included in our diet on a regular basis. Food like ghee, Indian gooseberry, fruits like pomegranates, rice, barley, tribella, leafy vegetables, meats of animals in dry or arid land, that is jangala mamsa, we call in Sanskrit. All these are recommended for daily use. But there are certain food materials that are undesirable for regular use, like cheese, yogurt, vinegar, sprouted seeds, black gram, molasses, dried meat, tuberous roots, sweets prepared by grinding cereals, uncooked radish. These are all undesirable food materials. It's because too much of these substances can result in health problems. When we speak about spices, we generally have an idea that all spices are hot or warming in nature, but that's not true. Coriander, mint, and fennel all have cooling properties and pacifies pitta. Regular cleansing of bowels is an integral part of Ayurveda therapies. Tribella, which is a combination of 3 tropical fruits, Haridagi, Vibhidagi, and Amlagi. Amlagi is Indian gooseberry. This is a very safe drug to be taken on a regular practice. It is a good practice to follow vegetarian diets for short period of time intermittently, which helps in detoxification. Life is so dynamic and flexible. As long as balance is maintained in the body, mind and spirit, any disorder can be prevented.
Now, let me introduce to you the three basic body types and their pacifying diets. The Vada type. Vada type are basically thin-built people, very tall by nature. They have dry skin, they walk brisk, they are light sleepers, they are highly enthusiastic and creative, very excitable with mood swings. They have irregular appetite and digestion, they get easily exhausted, and they have a tendency to worry and be anxious. They get usually constipated and they have an aversion to cold. And this Vada type of people should follow a Vada pacifying diet. A nourishing breakfast is very important for Vada types like cereals, milk, etc. Soothing foods like warm soups, cooked grains, bowl of oatmeal, cup of creamy vegetable soup, etc. are good for them. Dry, salty snacks are not at all good for Vada type. All sweet fruits are good for Vada type, especially fruits like mangoes and green grapes. Astringent fruits like apples and pears need to be cooked for them. Since nuts and seeds are difficult to digest, the Vada people need to eat only small quantities of that. Almonds without skin can be used in moderation. And they should avoid unripe fruits. Always add oily dressings to salads. Vegetables need to be cooked, adding oil, and eat raw veggies sparingly. Although sweet tastes are good for Vata, white sugar can make them feel restless. Always prefer a hot soup to a raw salad. Lassi, a sweet drink made with plain yogurt, adding water, a pinch of salt, sugar, and cumin seeds calm Vata. Favor vegetables like carrots, cucumbers, and beets, but avoid vegetables like cabbage, peas, potatoes, mushroom, eggplants, and cauliflower. Favor spices in moderation. Favor cumin, fennel, ginger, licorice, cardamom, cinnamon, and cloves. And reduce on coriander, fenugreek, and parsley. And favor seafood. Now, let me introduce to you the Pitta body type. Pitta body type people are medium built with medium strength and they get early graying of hair or balding. They have thin, fine blonde hair. They have a very sharp intellect. They have strong hunger, thirst, and digestion. And they don't tolerate hot and spicy foods. They perspire more. They get easily angry and irritable, but they are very organized and precise in speech. They are selfish by nature. They have regular bowel habits or more common loose stools, aversion to heat and sun. So this type of people should follow the Pitta pacifying diet. That is cool and refreshing food, preferably for the Pitta dosha. Reduce oil, salt, and warm spices in general. A breakfast of cold cereal and apple juice is a good choice, while coffee, orange juice, etc. are bad for them. Fat and red meat and chicken are not good for the Pitta types. Pitta people do well with vegetarian diets than the other two types. Milk, grains, and vegetables make Pitta people feel well. Minimize on sour cream and cheese. Processed and fast foods are too bad for them. They need to avoid all deep fried foods. To bring down excess pitta or heat, a spoonful of ghee or clarified butter with warm milk is very good. Warm spicy food is too intoxicating for pitta. They should favor low salt diet. They can favor apples, melons, avocados, coconuts, raisins, and vegetables like sweet potatoes, lettuce, broccoli, cabbage, cucumber, etc., and reduce onions, garlic, tomatoes, carrots, grapefruit, oranges, and papayas. Reduce intake of chicken and shrimp. All sweeteners are acceptable except honey and molasses. Take more of coriander and fennel. Reduce pepper and garlic. Now, let me introduce to you the Kabba type of people. They are large with a solid body build. They are very calm people, slow and relaxed, strong by nature, and they gain weight more than other people and more easily. Steady energy levels, and with slow and graceful action, they have smooth, soft, oily skin, and they sleep heavily, and they have slow appetite and digestion, and they are affectionate, loving, and forgiving. They have a very slow gait with thick hair, dark and wavy, and tendency towards excess mucus, phlegm, chronic congestion, sinus problems, etc. And they have an aversion to cold and damp weather. And this group of people should follow the kapha pacifying diet. Kabba people should prefer small and light meals, and if possible, eat twice a day when kabba get vitiated. Eating spicy food promote their digestion. If you suffer from mild symptoms of kabba vitiation like stuffy nose or running nose or cold, do not oversleep and do not take sweet, creamy, rich foods. Cereals with milk is a bad choice then. Choose something warm and light. Dry cooking methods are good for them like baking, grilling, sauteing, then steaming or poaching. Cumin, turmeric, fenugreek, ginger are all good for them. Buckwheat pancakes, low sugar cereals without sweet, and fruits like pomegranates, apricots, pears, etc. are a good choice for breakfast. Do not take milk or sweet coffee or tea with milk. Instead, sip warm ginger tea or a spoonful of honey with lemon. Do not warm honey, it can get toxic by doing so. Raw fruits, vegetables, and salads are extremely good for them. Crisp fried veggies are also a good option. Skipping a meal every now and then is good for them. They should have a minimum of oil dressing in their salads. They can favor lettuce, onions, spinach, red and green bell pepper, cauliflower, cabbage, beans, and reduce fleshy, juicy vegetables like tomatoes, squash, etc. Also reduce root vegetables. Dried fruits in general like dates, figs, prunes are all good for them. Reduce mangoes, melons, dates, bananas, etc. and reduce oats, rice and wheat. Instead favor barley, corn and millet. And they can favor skimmed milk and eggs, and favor chicken also. Avoid seafood and red meat. Favor sunflower oil and pumpkin seeds. Avoid tofu and kidney beans.
Ayurveda is receiving momentum worldwide as an effective alternative to the conventional system of medicine by virtue of its systemic approach to cure and prevent ailments using natural resources. World Ayurveda Day is celebrated around the world as a global initiative to promote and preserve Ayurveda. The responsibility of getting and staying well belongs to the individual himself. We ought not to take it granted so easily that health is something which can be purchased or to blame our incompetent doctor because he failed in his duty of restoring our health. Bad habits, lifestyle, full of stress and tension, repressed emotions, poor diet, overweight, unstable family, devitalized food, and toxic environment all can cause weakness and diseases. One who is very particular in taking proper diet, who has a clear conscience, who is not indulgent in sensual pleasures, who is compassionate, who has patience, and he who obeys the words of the sages respectfully shall stay healthy throughout their life. And in Sanskrit, the shloka says, Nityam hidahara vihara sevi samikshigari visheshu asaktaha dadaha samaha satyavaraha kshamavan aptova sevicha bhavatyarogaha. Health is not an absence of disease, but it's a stage of complete well-being physically, mentally, socially and spiritually. The true healer is within us. This realization has always been inherent in Ayurveda. It was a great opportunity for me to present the basic principles of Ayurvedic nutrition before the people of Kazakhstan. On this occasion of World Ayurveda Day celebration, I wish everyone good health and happiness once again. Thank you.